Good morning all, hope you're doing well. We had a bit of a dump on the technical scores. We're at 56 out of 100. We were in the high 90s last week and it's come down off its highs. So this is what I want personally. What I want is this to get nice and low, then I'm going to look to buy the dip on probably the S&P, to be honest with you, because it's quite easy to trade. But you don't really want to be buying when we're really high. You want to be buying when we're low. All right, so that's the logic. The precedent, the go or no go decision for the long is based on this. As long as this remains green, you're looking to buy dips. If this goes red, then you're not really looking to buy dips, you're looking to sell rips. Okay, so pending that remains green, then we're looking to buy. But you don't really want to be buying at 56 out of 100. You want to be buying when it's lower. All right, so when we're like 15, 20. That's a good time to enter. All right, so that's the logic. So for me, I'm just monitoring, and I'm going to be looking for a long on the S&P, but we do need to dump first. So this is calculated using all these metrics, and Tesla dumped, but that's okay. You know, it is what it is. The dollar rose, and the VIX rose, and the Treasury yields rose as well. So that's going to help the USD. When that pumps, it should help the dollar. Okay, and we'll obviously we had Labor Day yesterday, so this is old data, and we're going to see a change at the New York Open, and we're going to have a big change on the technical risk calc, and that's probably going to fluctuate quite a lot at the New York Open, and we'll have to wait and see how we go. But for me, I want it to dump in order for me to buy. I'm not going to buy now. I've got a plan. The strategy is that I'm going to wait for this to get nice and low, then I'm going to go long. So that's my plan, and it can be your plan as well. It's something that it does work from experience. I've made quite a bit of money this year by doing that process. So just buying low and selling high, you know, it's quite easy. It's just the timing, and it can be a little bit scary about buying an index like the S&P, but we know technically we're pretty strong. You just look at a weekly chart, for example, and we're just so mega strong. Technically, UJ at the top and dollar, QDB at the bottom. No Aussie is down here, and the RBA paused. We did fall quite a bit on the Aussie, and we've got some cross yen at the top, which is of note, and the bubbles might be worth mentioning actually. That the dollar, the USD is down here, so expect a big battle with the pound and the euro. If the dollar does manage to fight these two off and they move away, then we've got the CAD to fight. So once it's defeated the euro and the pound, if it does, it's got the CAD in the way. So we'll have to wait and see what happens here. So if you subscribe to the QDB service, it's a really good idea to get yourself an extra screen so you can just keep an eye on your sheet and look at the bubbles if you can. And it's very subtle but very, very powerful. So that's the spreadsheet. That's what I'm doing today. And look, they went really long Aussie. Look at the price performance on Aussie. Right, we're falling quite heavily. Why? Well, the RBA paused and also the herd went long, but they went really long. So that's the logic there. Okay, I'll show you the well, I can show you the robot. I suppose we can start the robot. We always normally finish with the robot. We'll talk about it and what's happened. We had some Aussie trades going into RBA, which is they didn't go to profit, they went to stop loss, but we have a tight stop and it might be too tight, I'm not sure. But what had happened is that we had some Aussie CAD trades, and prior to the RBA we went below 50% on the sentiment, and therefore it created a buy because they were net short. And it fluctuated on that 50%. It went to 49%, went to 50%. So indecision went back to 49%. And then, of course, the RBA came, and the herd went really long into that risk event. And unfortunately for us, our robot was caught, you know, off guard. So it's just one of those things. I think potentially, if we've got an interest rate decision, I might have to manually intervene on the robot and just take away Aussie, just take away, you know, take away the AUD from the robot. And so, for example, when we've got an interest rate decision from the BOE, it might be an idea for me to just go in and manually remove the pound. So that's something to think about. The logic's fine, it should be okay, but obviously when we've got risk events like the interest rate decisions, it's going to impact price regardless of the sentiment. And this is gold, just so you know where the stop loss cluster is. Okay, so 1933, fairly large size. It's a 2.43. One above is at 1955. So I think this is possibly likely. So don't think that you're going to get a big result on a gold sell, because that's the target. All right, so don't think we're going to like really fall today, because that's probably like the liquidity target, and that's what will probably happen. It'll just take those stops and it'll just rubber band between the stop loss clusters. All right, so let's look at the indices. I'm trying to make it a little bit quicker, not to waffle too much, but basically they've gone long on the Dow Jones, so we can create a box. And I'm around if you need me at all. Don't feel afraid to ask me questions. I did have one subscriber, a trial guy, and I answered about 50 questions yesterday. And the thing is, a lot of the material that I covered had been in video format. So you must make sure you try and watch the videos first. And there's a thing in Telegram. I created a helper robot, so make sure you watch those videos, and then you can ask me questions. So it's quite exhausting for me to reply to 50 responses to one guy. It's quite tiring. So just make sure you watch the videos if you can. If not, then understand, you can ask me questions. It doesn't really matter too much. But is that correct? Yeah, that's about correct, isn't it? So we should really be below this box. However, they might sell it, mightn't they? And they're quite likely going to sell, to be honest with you. Now DAX is of note because they're doing something different and they're being quite bullish. So they need to be corrected on that bias. See, we're falling quite a bit, and they see what happened is that they sold it, which I thought would happen yesterday today, and now they've gone long. So we can create a box, probably at that doji. You've got another doji there. And yeah, just to reiterate, feel free to ask me questions, but I have to have like a limit of like probably like 20 questions a day or something. I can't be doing it 50 questions. It's bonkers, and a lot of the stuff that I've covered in YouTube videos. So for example, I mean, this should be quite self-explanatory. They've gone long, so therefore this is why price is falling. Okay, it's not really rocket science. It's a case of understanding logic that if they buy it, there has to be someone to sell it. It's like an exchange of goods almost. And so that's why we're falling, and then they're going to have to be corrected because they can't be bullish. Okay, they can't be buying, and they are. So we're going to have to see price fall, and S&P. So I want this to fall, but it looks like we're going a bit sideways. So nothing really for me. I'm just sitting on my hands. I'm waiting for a good opportunity. So we're just too sideways. There's nothing to comment on there, and gold, we know where the stop loss cluster is. It's 1933, and so we're very close to it. And you know why we've got a stop loss cluster there, right? Look, that's like the obvious place where you'd put a stop loss. Where would you put it? You'd put it just below the low, wouldn't you? Look, that's where the SLC is. All right, so whether or not they move their stops lower is possible, but if they don't, that could be your objective for a bounce. So be careful, and I'll wrap up now because I do need to make these videos quicker, and I don't really want them longer than 10 minutes. So that's today's video, and I'll be around if you need me. But if you've got questions, I will send you videos to watch, and then hopefully that works. Because I've covered the subject matter quite a lot on my YouTube videos. So hope you have a good day. I'll speak to you guys soon.